Court is still in session.
Thank you, Deputy Jones. And in the Murray case, all parties and counsel are present as before. Dr. White, once again, is on the stand as before. The jurors and alternates are present as before. Good morning again. Thank you. Dr. White, good morning again, sir. You acknowledge you're still under oath and you're still sworn to tell the truth.
Yes, I do.
Thank you. This resumption of cross-examination, Mr. Walgren.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Your Honor, I'm holding defense WW. I'm opening the envelope. Removing defense WW from the envelope. May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
You may.
Dr. White, you were here in court when Mr. Chernoff presented this to Dr. Schaefer, correct? And I'm referring to defense WW.
I believe so, yeah.
And did you provide this to defense counsel?
No, I did not.
Let me show you. You see how the venting cap has been removed to make it appear different than it normally would?
Yeah, it looks like it broke off, actually.
Did you do that?
No, I did not.
No?
No.
Did you put this milky substance in the IV tubing?
I don't. I may have.
Did you put this milky substance in?
I don't recall if I did. I honestly don't. I certainly did not break the cap off the venting fork, no.
And do you see this kind of reddish coloring on the short tube? Do you know what that is?
No idea. I don't know that I've seen this.
But you would agree that in some manner it's been modified, whether broken or otherwise, it has been modified to make the venting cap look different. Would you agree with that?
It looks like it's missing. As I recall,
Would you agree with my statement that it's been modified, either it broke off or something?
it looks like it, yeah.
When you say missing, because there's actually a plastic cap that would go over this and cover this hole, correct?
The ones, yes, the ones I'm familiar with, if I may, have where that little side areas, it's connected and it's a little flap type device. I've never seen this setup before.
Yeah. I've left defense WW on the Elmo. I'm opening People's 157, the recovered IV set, removing People's 157. Dr. White, looking at People's 157, you see the actual evidence item has the venting cap in place.
Correct.
Okay. It's different than defense WW, correct?
Correct.
But your testimony is you have no idea how that cap was removed from defense WW?
No idea. I've never seen it before.
It wasn't done to mislead Dr. Schaefer, was it?
That's argumentative. The objection of the court is sustained. Did you replace
I replaced
157?
People's exhibit. I'm placing defense WW back in the envelope.
Thank you.
Would you agree that that IV tubing, and we'll just use defense WW, I'm removing it again, Your Honor. Would you agree that this is very compact and would be easily concealable? Would you agree with that statement?
I guess, I don't know what you mean by easily conceivable. I mean,
Well, it could be slipped into a pocket, right?
presumably, yes.
Okay.
I have not tried to do it myself or held it in my hand, so
It fits in my hand, right?
it does almost fit in your hand. I mean, some of it's outside the palm of your hand, yes, but
Would you agree that it would be easily concealable? It's a compact component.
it could be, yes.
Now, you initially, again, you've explained that it was just preliminary thoughts, but you initially attributed the death by blaming it on Michael Jackson, speculating that he drank propofol and killed himself, correct?
I speculated that oral administration may have played a role.
That Michael Jackson drank the propofol himself, and that may have played a role in his death.
Self-administration, yes.
And you now reject that theory, right?
I don't reject completely self-administration theory. I reject that oral administration contributed. There was some propofol in his stomach.
And that's to be expected, right?
Well, we know from the studies that Dr. Schaefer did in Chile that oral administration of propofol can result in significant levels in one of his 6 volunteers.
I'm not asking about the Chilean study. You reject that Michael Jackson drank propofol, and you reject that that caused his death, right, as a cause of death.
I think the evidence suggests that he did not drink propofol, correct?
So do you, as you sit here today under oath, do you reject that as a theory?
As a cause of death, yes.
But you did from the outset, as early as March 8, 2011, attribute a possible cause of death to Michael Jackson himself, correct?
Yes.
And you concluded in that, although you say they're preliminary thoughts, you concluded he either self-administered or he drank propofol, correct?
Yes. And I base that, if I may, on some of the other expert testimony that I read in February.
Which testimony are you referring to? Because there's no report where any other expert speculates about oral consumption of propofol. Which report are you referring to?
I thought it was a report by a Dr. Ruffalo.
Okay, do you have that with you? Can you show me the reference where he wrote a report talking about oral propofol? Do you have that with you?
I didn't say it was a report. I think it was in a preliminary hearing, if I recall.
Oh, where Mr. Flanagan asked him about oral propofol. Is that what you're referring to? Is that what you're referring to?
Perhaps, yes, perhaps.
Okay. What caused you, well, let me go back. How long did you have to prepare this report of yours dated March 8, 2011? Did you say it was done quickly, or did I mishear?
Are you referring to the letter?
Right.
The letter I was asked to prepare on very short notice, I think a couple of days, and I was extremely busy at the time, but I agreed to provide a letter giving my preliminary thoughts based on the information I'd reviewed at that time.
And now, again, you've had 7 months now, but again, the only letter I have is this one that you had to rush. Is that your testimony?
I have not been asked to prepare a report, so you're correct.
But again, then in I guess a couple days' time, is that fair? That you were asked to analyze the case and then provided this letter? Was that about 2 days? Is that accurate?
Well, I had more than 2 days to read the number of reports that were sent. There were a number of expert reports.
So how long a period of time, roughly?
I think it's vague. I think you need to refine the question.
What is the 2-day reference referring to?
That was the time from when Mr. Flanagan contacted me and told me they needed something in writing, I think was the words, not a formal report, just some preliminary thoughts on the materials that I had looked at.
So he asked you to put your thoughts in writing, and it took about 2 days, and then you gave him this letter that was turned over in discovery. Is that your testimony?
No, I did not say it took 2 days. He just told me he needed something in writing within a couple of days. So there was some time frame, a short time frame to get it done. I had other activities that I was involved in. So,
and of course, I mean, you knew it was part of discovery in this case, right? You knew this was a pending criminal case, right? You knew you were being consulted by the defense as an expert, and they asked you to put your findings in writing, correct?
I didn't know the details of the case in that regard. I was asked to render a preliminary opinion or thoughts based on some expert reports I was given.
Is there anything in here where you say these are my preliminary thoughts or my preliminary opinion? Is that stated anywhere in your March 8th, 2011 letter?
As I stated,
Is that stated
Previously.
anywhere in your March 8th, 2011 letter?
sir, I haven't looked at that letter in some time, so I'd have to review it in detail.
Okay. May I approach the witness,
You
Your Honor?
may.
May you read this to yourself silently, please, and let me know when you've had a chance to review it? Have you had a chance to review it?
Yes, I have.
Does anywhere in your letter dated March 8, 2011, does anywhere in there, does it say that this is just your preliminary thoughts, like preliminary opinions?
I didn't use the word preliminary, but I also did
Is the
not.
answer that no, it's not in there?
That exact word, I don't think is in there. I didn't find that word in there, but I also didn't find the word saying it was oral administration. I said self-administration orally or parenterally,
Right, you said both.
either or.
It is my opinion, I'm quoting, it is my opinion that Mr. Jackson self-administered these drugs intravenously and/or orally. Correct?
That sounds correct, yes.
There's nothing characterizing that as simply preliminary finding or something you're going to supplement later on, is there? It says it's your opinion that Michael Jackson self-administered either intravenously or orally, correct?
Correct, based on the information that I had been able to review in the short time prior to writing a letter to Mr. Flanagan, yes.
And the information you reviewed, I believe you said on direct examination, you did a word search for, I believe, and if I'm misstating, please correct me, you did a word search for oral propofol, and that didn't come up with the piglet study, and then you wrote your report. I mean, was there other research that you did regarding oral propofol before you put this in writing?
I don't believe so. I did send an email to Dr. Ian Glenn in the UK, but I'd have to check my computer to see exactly when I sent that email.
But your recollection as you're here today is you did a word search for oral propofol, and it didn't come up with anything?
I didn't find anything, even in animals. So that's why I called Dr. Glenn, who I knew had performed some early animal studies, and I thought he might be able to provide me some information.
Well, in fact, he told you it was not orally bioavailable.
That was months after I...
Okay, I'm talking about, I understand that. I'm talking about what type of research you did before putting this in writing. You did a word search for oral propofol, and you didn't find anything. Is that accurate?
And I looked at the autopsy report, which showed propofol in the stomach, the gastric contents.
Okay.
And
Is that anything else? As far as your opinion, you said, it's my opinion that Mr. Jackson self-administered these drugs intravenously